Let me bring this statement that I read a while ago. It's supposed to be about the collaboration with the DVLA to make sure that you're tracking all of these heavy-duty vehicles that are being used to mine. Tell us a bit about that, so we can break it down as to how you expect it to help in getting responsible mining.
Okay, when the committee was formed, we actually researched into what was actually causing the environment and damage to the environment and all that, and realized that most of the heavy-duty equipment, i.e. excavators, are the one causing damage to the earth. So we tried to ascertain the population of them, which up to now we do not even know.
But that should be easy to get, isn't it?
No, it's not easy.
It's not that easy to get?
No, because the system was so polarized that people bring it to the ports and it don't even go through DVLA. They just pay duty and then it finds its way into a forest somewhere and start mining. Wow. That is how bad it was. So we were directed to actually count how many excavators we have in the system. So far, we've actually managed to put some together.
So how many do we have in the system at the moment?
If from the top of my mind, we would have about 400 to 500.
400 to 500. The whole country?
And then about 5. No, that's confiscated.
Okay.
Confiscated. And then the tracking, we've done about 800 of them across the country. Okay. There was an amnesty somewhere in September that they should all bring them forward. So they did that.
So you have the tracking system?
Yes, it was congregated in the district assemblies where we went and then put the trackers on them. It was free of charge at the time. But let's say the cost was deferred because the miners had gone through difficulties and all that. So it was done, but the cost was deferred.
But now you're charging?
No, even those who
did it earlier, they had
deferred
to pay.
because the money will be recouped somehow. But then now we're getting to where that we know the number of concessions within the country. We need to know how many excavators are working on each concession and all that, because that travels onto our Gallum Stop, the software, which is going to be used to monitor the small-scale mining sector. So we just send this out for them to know that the tracking team are out there and to ensure that they bring it forward for trackers to be put on. After that, if we find any excavator outside of the geographic area or the confines of the legal concession, then it would be confiscated to the state. It will be
confiscated. I see here that you have a deadline. The deadline for tracking and registration is Friday, the 22nd of February, 2019. And after that, every vehicle that does not have a tracker will be confiscated.
Yes.
How well have you communicated this to the people on the ground?
We went round to each district, spoke to the miners. That's why I said it started in September. And it was like an amnesty. It was published in the dailies. I think most of the print media picked it up, electronic media as well. So at that time, the ban hadn't been lifted. So that was when the amnesty was in place. And now we've realized that after the ban was lifted, we've seen people actually sending them into certain areas. That's why within the last 1 month, about 50 to 100, between 50 and 100 excavators has been confiscated to the state. So we are just giving them another opportunity to bring it forward for them to be tracked so that there's sanity within the system. Okay.
Sanity within the system means that people are complying. But we know that compliance is something that you really have to drag out of, from limited knowledge, I'll say for Ghanaians, you'll have to, it's like pulling hair out of the nostril. So I don't know, what is the plan? What is the strategy to ensure compliance?
The plan is that we are not going to rest on our laurels. The president put together an interministerial committee. I think it's the biggest in the country's history. 10 cabinet ministers coming together to form a committee. So it means that's the drive. The president has said that he's put his presidency on the line, which is a figure of speech, but it means that he wants to actually deal with this matter. And you can see what the results we're actually getting from Ankobra, which is going to be replicated across all the river bodies across the country. So we are going to monitor it with the drones that we have now. We have the Gallum Stop.
So how does the drone work, really? Okay. So you have a drone that's flying around and checking whether people are mining. These miners are very rich. We understand that they are heavily armed when they're on the ground. They can easily shoot down a drone.
There's something called occupier's liability. So if the drone falls on your concession, then we're having a conversation with you.
Well, do you know the drone flies far? So if you're here and you fly the drone all the way to, let's say, to a very long distance, and it's shot down, by the time you get to where it fell, I mean, they would have gotten rid of it.
That's what I'm saying. There are 930 legal concessions now. We can actually break them down per district.
Okay.
So it means that if it does not fall within a legal concession, then it means there's an illegality being performed somewhere.
Okay, so you're using the number of people registered with you. I mean,
the number of licenses.
The number, so you have a certain containment of people.
Yeah.
Who you know, who know you,
yes,
regulated.
Because with the reforms now, we have the photos of the directors of the company.
Okay.
So we're going to lift the corporate veil to actually see who is behind the company, if any legality is being performed. Now with the drones, we just don't have them here. We have some at the district level, the regional level, and the national level. So there are steps towards that. Okay. And those who actually operate the drones do not even control their schedule. We generate their schedule as to where they're going. And I'm saying, if anybody should actually shoot a drone now, which I don't think would happen, then it falls on a certain concession. Then it calls for us to actually.
And you have the details of most of the concessions. I mean,
we have them on the Galamstop. The Galamstop is a synergy that brings all the agencies together. The data of each concession, the number of miners, the excavators, insurance policy, everything is on there. So you can, and even the concession, you can actually click on it and then know what's happening there.
Okay. So I'm ending this conversation by asking you, unfortunately, we're unable to get back to Alvis and Latif on the ground. But let me just quickly ask you, what exactly is the minister going to do there?
No, I mean, you need to be proactive. This has happened. Any minister will have to go there and ascertain what is actually happening on the ground. And I think it's good for the minister to be there, and he's done well for doing that, even though we've lost lives and all that. It shouldn't have happened. And that's what I'm saying. Most of the 6,000, I mean, that were trained in University of Mines and Technology, I don't think will go in and perform illegality when the government has done this free mining school for you to learn how to mine responsibly. So it's good for the minister to go there. We'll all come. I mean,
what will his presence? What problem will his presence solve?
In the same vein, the media would have asked why the minister hasn't been there. People would have said,
not necessarily. I think the question would be what has happened. I mean, since the people died, what has happened? I mean, why? It will be basically about the investigation. So it will be about what is happening to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So which is why the question is still relevant, that what will the minister?
So your last statement answers it all. Your last statement answers it all. If he goes there and then see what is happening for himself, then he can actually advise cabinet and then within the ministry actually manage it well and see ensure that it doesn't occur somewhere.
So that's why he's going there.
I'm not saying that's why. There's a host of things. One, that people have died. You need to go there and actually see what actually happened, console them and all that, and then also ascertain what actually contributed to that accident, and so that in future it doesn't happen again.
Hopefully it won't happen again, but we've had a lot of lines about things that we don't want to happen again, but we always see them happening again. Yeah. Well, I'll leave it to that. Thank you very much for coming, sir. I've been having this conversation with Charles Bisu. Charles Bisu is a secretary to the interministerial. I don't know why I keep getting it all over the place, but he's a secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining.